last year we spent 12% of GDP, that's of the annual economic turnover of the country, on health, which places us among the 19 biggest industrial economies, the so-called OECD economies, fourth out of that 19. So we're not only spending a more than average among the advanced countries, we're spending well above the average. So you can't then argue that the NHS is underfunded, though, of course, every single discussion in politics we ever had about the NHS isn't about reform, isn't about how, as you say, we get better bang for our buck. It's about the spending of money as a virility symbol, as a symbol of our morality, however it's actually spent.
So we're up to 12% from, what, 7.5%, 8%? That's
right.
Just 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
It moves around. That 12% number's partly because the economy was smaller last year, but then other economies, because of lockdown, but other economies shrank too. The basic point here, Nigel, is that across the piece, from decade to decade, we are spending either average or above average of the OECD economies on the NHS.
£10,000
And yet, there's an amazing report out over the weekend by an analyst called Tim Knox at the Civitas think tank, analysing the OECD data of health outcomes. He showed out of the top 19 industrialised countries, the NHS, it gives me no pleasure to say this, far from being in the best in the world when it comes to survival rates from heart disease, strokes and particularly cancer, we are at the bottom or near the bottom of the league table in pretty much all those outcomes. There are areas where the NHS does excel, but across those major forms of disease, which affect so many people in our country, cause so much human misery and indeed tragedy, the NHS is performing very badly by international standards compared to other advanced economies, even though our expenditure is average or above.